Marcus Hale had taken many jobs in his life: bodyguard work, security detail, even a stint as a shuttle escort for asteroid miners. But none of them had come with a contract so strange. He was hired to protect twin alien sisters. That was clear. Enough. But the last line of the message was what caught him. You will need to stay close at all times. Close. He didn't know how close until he saw the fine print. Marcus had never forgotten the last time he said goodbye to someone important. 2 years ago, his sister Ilara had left Earth for a research post on Mars. She had been his anchor through the chaos of growing up, through his time in the military, through every uncertain moment. When she left, he told himself they'd stay in touch. Calls, messages, maybe even a visit. But the weeks turned into months. Their conversations became short, polite, and distant. She had her life. He had his. And yet sometimes, Marcus would stop mid-task, thinking of something he wanted to tell her, only to realize he didn't know if it mattered to her anymore. That quiet gap between them hurt more than he ever admitted. When the alien contract came, he wasn't thinking about Ilara, at least not directly. He was thinking about money. The pay was enough to wipe out his debts and fund a small home somewhere quiet. But there was something else in the offer. The official who hired him mentioned the sisters were far from home and needed someone who understood what it meant to feel out of place. That line stuck with him, because that's how he had been feeling lately, disconnected, drifting. The journey to the alien capital took 3 weeks by jump gate travel. Plenty of time to think, but Marcus tried not to. Instead, he studied the culture of the planet Zavara. Complex etiquette, layered clothing designs, a strange emphasis on shared space in personal relationships. When he finally arrived, the city stretched like crystal towers under a soft green sky. He was escorted to a diplomatic residence, a tall, elegant building with soft, glowing walls. And that's where he met Lyra and Selene. They looked alike, but not in the way human twins did. Their features were sharper, their eyes shimmering, with flecks of silver. Lyra wore her hair bound with intricate ribbons. Selene let hers flow free. One greeted him with a warm, curious smile. The other studied him like he was an unfamiliar puzzle. You're the human, Lyra said, her voice musical. You're late, Selene added, though it had only been minutes. Marcus learned quickly that the sisters were nothing like his sister, Ilara, but they stirred the same protective instinct. They were clever, a little reckless, and clearly used to pushing boundaries. His first night there, he expected to be shown to a guest room. Instead, an attendant handed him a set of clothing in Zevaran style and led him to a shared suite. 3 rooms connected by a central living space. This is for close protection, the attendant explained. Where the sisters go, you go. Where they sleep, you sleep nearby. Marcus had guarded people before, but never like this. Never living in their world, their rhythm, their habits. The first week was awkward. He didn't know when to speak or when to keep silent during their long ceremonial meals. He felt clumsy walking through markets where everyone moved in graceful spirals instead of straight lines. And sometimes, late at night, he'd hear Lyra and Selene laughing together in their language, and it reminded him of Ilara, how they used to stay up talking, inventing games, sharing every detail of their days. The memory hurt, but it also made him want to try harder here. One evening, Selene caught him staring out at the city from the balcony. You miss someone, she said. Simply, Marcus hesitated. My sister. She's far away. We don't talk much anymore. Then why not speak to her? Selene asked, as if the answer were obvious. It's not that simple. Everything is that simple, she replied, until you make it complicated. Her words stayed with him. The job wasn't just standing guard. It was adjusting security drones, checking windows, scanning gifts sent to the sisters. But it was also listening to them, learning their jokes, their fears, their hopes. And somewhere in those days, Marcus realized he was feeling something he hadn't felt in a long time: connection. One night, Lyra invited him to join them for a traditional Zevaran storytelling game. Each person told a short piece of a story, then passed it to the next person. When it came to Marcus's turn, he didn't tell a made-up tale. He told the truth. About Earth. About Ilara. About missing someone so much you forgot how to talk to them. When he finished, the sisters didn't speak right away. Then Lyra said, "You should call her tonight." Celine added, "We will help you with the right words." Marcus hesitated until he remembered why he'd taken the job. Not just the money, but because someone had seen in him a man who understood what it meant to be far from home. That night, using the embassy's long-range communicator, he sent a message to Ilara. Not a short, polite one. A real one. He told her about the green sky, about Lyra's laughter, about Celine's sharp honesty, about the market spirals and the food that shimmered like stars. He told her he missed her and that he wanted to hear about her life. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. As he sealed the message, Marcus felt lighter. The gap between them wasn't gone, but it wasn't growing anymore. And here, on this strange planet, he wasn't just a guard. He was learning again what it meant to belong. He had been hired to protect twin alien sisters. He never expected to live with them, and he never expected that, in protecting them, he'd start to reconnect with the person he'd almost lost. Marcus. Hale had been on Zavara for 2 weeks now. Every day felt a little less strange, and yet some things still left him unsure. He had grown used to the green sky, the crystal towers, and the way the air always smelled faintly of something sweet. He had even gotten better at wearing the long, layered Zeveran robes without tripping over them, but there was still one thing he couldn't get used to, living so close to Lyra and Selene. Not because they were difficult, they were kind, in their own ways. Lyra asked endless questions about Earth, laughing at his answers. Selene pretended not to care, but Marcus often caught her listening quietly from the other room. It was because they reminded him of something he had lost. The closeness he once had with his sister, Ilara. Every morning, the three of them shared breakfast. Zeveran breakfast was not like on Earth. There was no coffee, no toast. Instead, there were bright-colored fruits that glowed faintly in the dim light, and thin sheets of bread folded with sweet cream. The sisters spoke to each other in quick bursts of their own language, then turned to Marcus with translations or curious questions. But Marcus noticed something in himself. He laughed with them. He answered their questions. Yet, when it came to talking about himself, really talking, he hesitated. It was the same problem he had with Ilara. When someone you care about drifts away, you forget how to start the conversation again. You think about it. You plan it in your head. But when the moment comes, you stay silent. One afternoon, Lyra insisted Marcus join them for a visit to the central gardens of the city. "It's important you know the safe routes," she explained, "but also, it's beautiful." The gardens were unlike anything Marcus had seen before. Trees with silver leaves bent over clear pools. Birds with long tails sang melodies that changed depending on where you stood. Families walked in slow circles, greeting each other with a gentle touch on the forehead, a gesture of friendship on Zavara. Marcus walked behind the sisters, scanning the area for anything unusual, but his mind was far away. He thought about the last time he had been in a garden with Ilara, back on Earth. She had been telling him about her new research assignment on Mars. She had been excited. He had been proud of her, and then she had left. "Your eyes are far away again," Selene said suddenly, falling into step beside him. Marcus blinked. "Just thinking." "About your sister?" "Yes." "Then you should stop thinking and start speaking," Selene said. "Thinking alone changes nothing." It was strange, hearing such simple advice from someone so different from him, and yet it felt right. That evening, Lyra brought a small crystal device to the common room. "It's a story crystal," she explained. "On Zavara, families send these to each other when they cannot meet. They contain sights, sounds, moments of life." She pressed the crystal, and a soft image appeared in the air. a child playing in the gardens, a festival with lanterns floating. Into the sky, the inside of a Zeveran kitchen with steam rising from a pot. Marcus watched silently. He realized it wasn't the perfection of the images that mattered. It was the act of sharing them. A way of saying, I am here. This is my world. I want you to see it. Later, alone in his room, Marcus thought about sending something like that to Alara. But what would he even show her? He hadn't sent her anything real in months. Every time he thought about reaching out, he told himself it wasn't the right moment, that maybe she was too busy, that maybe she didn't need him anymore. But the truth was, he didn't know. And the not knowing was worse than anything else. The next day, Marcus found himself walking through the market with Lyra and Selene. He noticed the way the sunlight caught on the silver leaves, the way merchants called out in cheerful voices, the way the air was alive with colors and scents. This, Lyra said suddenly, is something you should send her. Show her your world. Marcus smiled faintly. You've been talking to your sister about me, haven't you? Selene looked away. Only a little. That night, Marcus stood on the balcony with a small recording device. He didn't know what to say, so he started with what he saw. Hey, Alara. This is where I live now. The sky is green here. The streets are made of crystal. I'm working for two sisters who keep me busy and confuse me daily. I miss you. I don't know if you miss me, but I hope you do. I want to hear your voice again. It wasn't perfect. His voice caught in places, but it was real. And as he sent the message through the diplomatic network, he felt something shift inside him. He didn't know if she would reply. He didn't know if this would close the distance between them. But for the first time in a long while, Marcus felt like he was doing something instead of just thinking about it. Humans had a way of reaching across impossible distances, not just with technology, but with heart. That was something no alien law or custom could replace. Next morning, Marcus woke to find Lyra waiting outside his door with a smile. No threats last night, she reported cheerfully, but I think today will be important. Why? Marcus asked. Because today you will get an answer, she said. And for the first time in years, Marcus felt hope rising like sunlight through a green sky. He had been hired to protect twin, alien sisters. He never expected that living with them would give him the courage to try and protect something else, something even more fragile, the connection to someone he thought he had already lost. Marcus woke to the soft hum of the building's morning lights. It took him a moment to remember where he was, on Zavara in a shared suite with Lyra and Selene. 2 weeks ago that had felt impossible. Now it was simply life. He checked his communicator. No reply from Alara. A small knot formed in his stomach. He had sent her the message 2 days ago. It was possible the transmission was delayed. Messages between planets often took time, but part of him feared she might not answer at all. The day's schedule was different from usual. The sister's father, a high-ranking official, had requested Marcus meet with the embassy's legal advisor. Marcus assumed it was about security protocols. Instead, the meeting revealed something entirely unexpected. The advisor, a tall, thin Zeveran with pale blue skin, slid a datapad across the table. Guardian Marcus Hale, this is a reminder of your contract terms, the advisor said in a calm voice. Specifically, Clause 17. The personal guardian must remain within shared residence with the clients at all times during active assignment. Marcus frowned. I knew I'd be close to them, but all times, even off duty. Yes, the advisor said, tilting his head as if surprised by the question. This is not unusual. On Zavara, protection is not only a matter of physical safety, it is also the creation of trust through shared life. It sank in slowly. This wasn't just about guarding doors or scanning for threats. It meant living with them day and night, sharing meals, spaces, and routines. Marcus thought of Alara again. When she had first moved to Mars, they had promised to keep each other updated on daily life. But he had only sent her important updates. The small things, the meals he made, the walks he took, the silly things that happened at work, he never told her. and maybe that was part of why they had drifted apart. On Zavara, those small things weren't just extra, they were part of the bond. When Marcus returned to the suite, Lyra was sitting cross-legged on the floor surrounded by boxes. "We're moving your things into the main living quarters," she said cheerfully. "Celine thinks you should be closer." "Closer?" Marcus asked, raising an eyebrow. "Yes. Our law says you must live with us. You are part of our circle now." Marcus thought about resisting, but then he saw the way Lyra was carefully arranging a corner for him. Small touches, like placing a soft blanket on the chair and setting out a tray for his tea. It reminded him of when Elara used to save him a seat at family dinners. That evening, the three of them had dinner together. The conversation moved from the day's events to small personal stories. Lyra told him about the time she and Celine tried to sneak into the city's music tower as children. Celine claimed the story was exaggerated, which made Lyra laugh even more. Marcus listened, smiling faintly. It felt warm. After dinner, Lyra turned to him. "You still have no answer from your sister?" He shook his head. "Then you must send her more," Celine said firmly. "One message is not enough. Show her what life is like for you. Let her see your days, not just your words." That night, Marcus took their advice. He recorded a short video of the dinner table, the sisters talking over each other. He showed the view from the balcony, the city lights shimmering against the green sky. Then he added a message. "Elara, I don't know if you're busy or just unsure what to say. I understand both. But I want you to know what my life looks like now. I'm learning new customs, living with people from another world. It's strange, but it's also good. I want to hear from you, even if it's just something small, anything." He sent it before he could second-guess himself. The next morning, Marcus was woken not by the morning lights, but by a gentle knock. Celine stood at the door, holding his communicator. "You have something," she said, her voice softer than usual. Marcus's heart raced as he took it. On the screen was a single message from Elara. "Marcus. Got your videos. Zavara looks amazing. I'm sorry I've been so quiet. Life here has been busy, but that's not the whole reason. I guess I didn't know how to start again either. Let's try. Tell me more." He read it twice, 3 times. His chest felt lighter than it had in months. At breakfast, Marcus was quieter than usual, but the sisters noticed his smile. She answered, "Didn't she?" Lyra guessed. "Yes," Marcus said. "She wants to try again." Celine gave a small, "Then you are proof of what we say here. Distance can only win if you let it." Over the next few days, Marcus began to see the job differently. The unexpected clause wasn't a burden, it was an opportunity. Living with the sisters meant seeing them not as clients but as people, and reaching out to Elara meant doing the same with her. Not guarding a distant memory but building something new. He was still a protector. But maybe, just maybe, he was also someone who could protect the fragile threads between hearts, even across stars. He had been hired to protect twin alien sisters. He never expected that living with them would teach him the most human lesson of all. That connection takes more than duty. It takes presence. Marcus Hale was learning that living with Lyra and Celine was not just a job, it was a lesson in patience. On Zavara, daily life was filled with customs that didn't make sense to him. Breakfast had to be eaten in silence on certain days. Guests could not enter a home without touching the wall 3 times, and gifts were never opened in front of the person who gave them. Some rules were charming, some were frustrating, and some made Marcus feel like he was always one mistake away from embarrassing himself. One morning, the sisters invited him to a formal gathering in the city's Harmony Hall. Marcus dressed in the layered robes they had chosen for him, deep blue with silver threads, and tried to remember the list of don'ts Celine had drilled into him the night before. When they arrived, the hall shimmered with crystal pillars and floating lanterns. Music played in soft, bending tones. People moved in slow, spiraling patterns, greeting each other with a gentle touch to the forehead. Marcus hesitated, unsure if he should join the spirals. Lyra noticed and smiled. Follow me, she whispered. Just try not to step on anyone's tail. Halfway through the event, Marcus made a small mistake. A young diplomat offered him a plate of sweet rolls. Forgetting the custom, Marcus thanked him and took one immediately, instead of waiting for a formal invitation gesture. The diplomat's eyes widened. Celine sighed quietly. Lyra quickly stepped forward, making a graceful hand sign to smooth over the moment. Marcus felt his ears burn. Back on Earth, such a slip wouldn't have mattered. Here, it was a sign of carelessness. Later, Lyra reassured him. It's fine. They know you're human. They expect you to be different. But Marcus wasn't sure. He hated feeling like an outsider. That night, Marcus sent a message to Alara. He told her about the sweet roll incident, how awkward he felt, and how the sisters had covered for him. To his surprise, Alara replied quickly. Sounds like your first dinner at Grandma's after you got back from training. Remember how you used the wrong fork for the soup and she gave you that look? You survived that. You'll survive this. Marcus chuckled to himself. It felt good, really good, to share something small again, something not heavy or forced. The next week brought more cultural challenges. Marcus learned that on certain festival days, the city's security drones powered down in public spaces to honor trust. To him, this felt like an open invitation for trouble. But the sisters insisted it was tradition. I'm supposed to protect you, Marcus argued. And you will, Celine said. With your eyes, not machines. It was strange, but he did it. He walked with them through crowded markets, scanning faces, watching movements, trusting his instincts. And when they reached home safely, he felt a small swell of pride. One evening, Celine challenged Marcus to join a game in the courtyard. It involved tossing glowing rings into tall poles while moving in shifting patterns. Marcus had no idea what he was doing, but the sisters laughed so much he found himself laughing too. He recorded a short clip of the game and sent it to Alara. Her reply came the next day. Looks fun. You'd lose to me, though. Marcus grinned. The teasing felt like old times, but not every moment was easy. One night, Marcus returned from a patrol to find Lyra upset. She had received a formal letter from the council about a breach in diplomatic conduct, something small, but important in Severan politics. They say I spoke too freely at the gathering, Lyra said. They don't understand my way. Marcus sat with her in the quiet. I do, he said. On Earth, speaking freely is something we respect. Maybe too much sometimes. Lyra looked at him with a faint smile. Then maybe you can teach me when to speak and when to hold silence. It was a small moment, but Marcus realized something. Cultural clashes weren't just one-way struggles. They were learning opportunities for both sides. The more Marcus adapted to life here, the more he found himself sharing those lessons with Alara. He told her about the unspoken rules of the market, the strange beauty of the spiraling dances, the way people here valued presence over speed. Her replies became longer. She told him about the slow rhythm of Mars life, how sunsets there stretched in orange and pink across the horizon, how she sometimes felt like she was living in a place that wasn't fully hers either. Marcus read those words over and over. He realized they weren't just reconnecting, they were understanding each other again. One night, while standing on the balcony, Marcus looked out over the green-lit city. Lyra joined him. You're different now, she said. How so? You move more like us. You listen before you act. And you smile more. Marcus thought about that. He had been hired to protect them. But somewhere along the way, he had learned to live with them, to share space, to adjust, to connect. And maybe that was the same thing he was doing with Alara. Slowly, steadily, he was finding his way back into her world. He had been hired to protect twin alien sisters. He never expected that their customs, as strange as they were, would help him remember how to hold on to the people who mattered, no matter how far away they were. The sun on Zavara didn't set the way it did on Earth. Instead, the green sky slowly deepened into teal, then into a soft blue-black. The city lights brightened in response, and the crystal towers reflected them like mirrors. Marcus Hale had grown to love that change in color. But tonight, as he watched from the balcony, he couldn't relax. Something in the streets below felt off. It had started earlier that day. He, Lyra, and Celine had been walking through the market. The usual crowd was there, merchants calling out, shoppers moving in slow spirals, children chasing small glowing toys. But Marcus noticed a figure that didn't fit. Tall, wrapped in dark fabric, standing too still for the flow of the market. Whenever the sisters moved, the figure seemed to shift, always ending up within sight. He told himself it could be coincidence. Zavara's markets were crowded, and humans saw patterns easily. But the longer it happened, the more certain he became. They were being watched. Back at the residence, Marcus double-checked the security system. The outer perimeter was fine, the drones were functioning. But a small glitch in one camera feed caught his attention. It was the street outside the west entrance. The same figure appeared there for a brief moment, then vanished. Marcus decided not to tell Lyra and Celine yet. There was no clear danger, and he didn't want to alarm them without proof. But he kept his eyes open. That evening, after the sisters went to their rooms, Marcus sat in the living area, sending a message to Alara. He told her about the strange figure. He didn't make it sound dramatic, just that he had noticed someone suspicious. Her reply came quickly. "Sounds like you're back in detective mode. Be careful, Marcus. And maybe, don't carry this alone. Remember how you always told me trouble feels smaller when you share it?" Marcus smiled faintly. She was right. Even across the stars, she still knew how to cut through his stubbornness. The next morning, Marcus decided to adjust their plans. "We're taking a different route to the gardens today," he told the sisters. "Just a precaution." Celine raised an eyebrow. "Precaution against what?" "Let's just say my instincts are awake," Marcus replied. The gardens were calm that day, full of music and soft light. But Marcus didn't let his guard down. He scanned the crowd, checking reflections in the crystal walls. Twice, he thought. He saw a flicker of dark fabric, but each time it was gone before he could be sure. Lyra noticed his distraction. "You're thinking of something again," she said. "Someone," Marcus corrected quietly. "I think we've been followed." Instead of panicking, Lyra simply said, "Then we will walk together and let them see we are not afraid." That night, Marcus reviewed all the security footage from the last week. The figure had appeared 3 times, always near public places the sisters visited. Never close enough to be obvious. Never long enough to be identified. He finally told Selena. She listened without interrupting, then nodded. "Good, now you have told us. A guardian who hides shadows from those they protect is not guarding at all." Marcus thought about Alara's words. Maybe the sisters were right. Protection wasn't only about standing in front of someone, it was also about letting them stand beside you. 2 days later, the shadow returned. Marcus spotted the figure while escorting the sisters from a music hall. This time the streets were quieter, and the figure was moving with purpose. Marcus subtly shifted his position, putting himself between the sisters and the stranger. The figure stopped. For a moment they stood in the glow of a street lamp, head tilted as if studying Marcus. Then they turned and melted into the side streets. No threat, no words. Just a silent reminder that someone was watching. That night, Marcus sent Alara a longer message than usual. He told her exactly how it felt, that rush of focus, that strange mix of fear and calm, the human instinct to step forward when danger might be near. Her reply came the next day. "That's you, Marcus. Always stepping forward, even when you don't know what's ahead. Maybe that's why I've been missing you more lately. I could use that kind of courage here too." Marcus read her words twice. They weren't just reconnecting now. They were beginning to talk like they used to, sharing not just events, but feelings. The sisters noticed the change in him too. "You smile more after you speak to her," Lyra said one morning. It suits you. Marcus didn't deny it. We're talking again. Really talking. It's been a long time. Celine gave him one of her rare approving nods. Then your shadow is not only in the city, it is also leaving your heart. Marcus didn't know who the mysterious figure was, or why they kept appearing. But he did know one thing. The more time he spent with the sisters, the more he understood the value of staying present, not just physically, but emotionally. He had been hired to protect twin alien sisters. He never expected that. While watching for shadows in the city, he would also be finding light in a relationship he thought might fade forever. The green glow of the Zevran night always gave the city a calm, almost dreamlike feeling. But that night, the calm shattered. Marcus Hale was asleep when the security alarm buzzed softly in his earpiece. A private signal meant for the Guardian, not the whole building. He was on his feet instantly. He checked the security feed. A small drone, no bigger than a bird, was hovering near the west balcony, slowly cutting through the outer screen. It didn't match any embassy registry. Marcus moved quickly but silently. He tapped his wristband to alert Lyra and Celine without making noise. 2 green dots appeared on his screen, both sisters safe in their rooms. He didn't want to cause panic. He didn't want them rushing into danger. Outside, the air was cool and faintly sweet. The drone's cutting tool made a faint, high-pitched hum. Marcus stepped into view. Not tonight, he muttered. The drone shifted, scanning him. It was clearly programmed for stealth, not confrontation. Marcus didn't carry a weapon inside the residence. Zevran law was strict about that. But he had something better. Human adaptability. He grabbed a nearby blanket from the balcony chair and flung it over the drone. It struggled for a moment, but Marcus twisted the fabric tight, cutting off its sensors. It stopped moving. Lyra appeared in the doorway, eyes wide. What happened? Unregistered drone, Marcus said. It was trying to get in. Celine joined her, looking at the bundled shape in his hands. Why not destroy it? Because, Marcus said, sometimes you learn more by keeping the question than by throwing it away. They brought the drone to the secure room, locking it in a containment field. Marcus promised to run a trace in the morning. But for now, he wanted to make sure the sisters were calm. They sat in the living area, sipping warm tea. Is this common on your worlds? Lyra asked. Not exactly, Marcus said. But when I was in the military, there were nights like this. You'd be tired, half asleep. Then suddenly you were wide awake. You learned to move without thinking. Celine tilted her head. Humans adapt quickly. Marcus smiled faintly. We have to. Our worlds